You see, said the old man sarcastically, how reluctantly she parts with it. Take it, sir, it is yours. It was a small bar of metal. I examined it carefully, and the colour, weight, everything indicated that it was really gold. You don't think it is real gold, perhaps, said the alchemist. There are ashes on the table over there. Test it. I confess I did doubt its genuineness, but after I had acted on the old man's suggestions, I had to admit that he was right. It was gold of the highest purity. I was astounded. Was this man's story true, after all? Was his innocent-looking daughter really as devilish as he said? I felt confused and looked from father to daughter in amazement. I see that you are surprised, said the old alchemist. You had a right to think me mad until I proved the contrary. But Mr. Blakelock, I said, I really cannot take this gold. I cannot charge such a large fee. Take it, he answered impatiently. Your fee will amount to that before I am well. Besides, I wish to secure your friendship. I want you to protect me from her. He pointed at his daughter, and for a moment I saw her face distort into something ugly. It's true, I thought, she is a demon. I got up to go. This domestic tragedy sickened me. It was too horrible to witness. I wrote a prescription for the old man, left directions for the changing of the dressings on his burns, said good night, and hurried out the door. As I was trying to find the stairs in the dark, I felt a hand on my arm. Doctor, whispered a voice that I recognised to be Marian Blakelock's. Doctor, do you have any compassion? I hope so, I answered abruptly, shaking off her hand. The fact that she touched me filled me with repulsion. Hush, don't talk so loud. If you have any pity, I beg you to give me back the ingot. Good heavens, I exclaimed. Is it possible for a woman to be so avaricious? Ah, you don't understand. I cannot tell you. Do not judge me too harshly. I call God to witness that I am not what you think I am. Some day you will know. The ingot, where is it? I must have it. My life depends on you giving it to me. Take it, I cried. I never intended to keep it. Gold made under the same roof that covers such as you must surely be cursed. I gave her the ingot, which she clutched with horrible eagerness, and despite her effort to detain me, I stumbled down the stairs and walked home quickly. Marian's story. The next morning I was in my surgery, thinking about the events of the previous night, when the door opened and Marian Blakelock entered. She was panting, as if she had been running fast. Father has got up, she gasped, and insists on continuing with his alchemy. Will it kill him? Not exactly, I answered coldly. It would be better if he stayed in bed to avoid the chance of infection. However, you need not worry. His burns aren't dangerous, although they are painful. You despise me, don't you? She asked. I did not answer. You think I'm a monster, a criminal. You embarrass me, madam, I said. Please leave. Wait, I can't bear to think that you think ill of me. You are good and kind. You don't know how much I love my father. I could not retain a bitter smile. You don't believe me? Well, I will convince you. My life of deceit can continue no longer. Will you hear my story? I assented. My father had nearly driven himself into the grave, working every day at his mad pursuit. Every day he grew weaker and more emaciated. I saw that if he didn't succeed in his quest, he would die. The thought of this was too much for me, for I loved him. I love him. During all these years, I worked as a seamstress to keep the household going. It was hard work, but I did it. I still do it. What? I exclaimed. Doesn't he know? Patience, hear me out. My father was dying of disappointment, and I had to save him. By working night and day, I saved about $35. These I exchanged for gold, and one day, when he wasn't looking, I threw it into the crucible. God, I'm sure, will pardon the deception, but I never anticipated the misery it would lead to. You have never seen anything like it when he found the gold. He wept, danced, sang, and built such castles in the air that it made me dizzy. He gave me the ingot to keep and went to work at his alchemy with renewed vigour. He always found the same quantity of gold in the crucible, only I knew the secret. He was happy, poor man, for nearly 2 years, believing that he was amassing a fortune. All that time I worked at my needlework to keep us from starving. When he asked for the savings, I realised my folly. What money could I give him? There never was any. It nearly broke my heart when I discovered his injurious suspicions against me. However, I could not blame him. I could not account for the treasure, so I had to suffer the consequences. I remained silent and I suffered. You know the rest. You now know why I didn't want to give you the ingot. You can understand why I degraded myself and asked for it back. It was the only means I had of continuing a deception on which I believed my father's life depended. I cannot live this life of hypocrisy anymore. I cannot bear hearing my father cursing me every day. I will tell him the truth. Will he come with me? I am afraid of the effect this may have on his enfeebled mind. Of course I will, I replied. But first, please forgive me for thinking ill of you. I knew you would understand, said the girl, sobbing. But come, I'm impatient. I must tell my father. The bitter truth. When we reached the old alchemist's room, we found him busily working over a crucible which was placed on a small furnace, and in which some indescribable mixture was boiling. He looked up as he heard us enter. Don't worry about me, Doctor, he said. I cannot allow a little physical pain to interrupt my work. By the way, you are just in time. In a few moments, the marriage of the Red King and the White Queen will be accomplished. Yes, Doctor, in less than 10 minutes you will see me make pure, shining gold. The poor man smiled triumphantly and stirred his mixture with a long rod, which he held with difficulty in his bandaged hands. It was a heartbreaking sight. Father, said Marion in a low voice, I want your forgiveness. Ah, hypocrite, for what? Are you going to give me back my gold? No, father, but I have been deceiving you for 2 years. I knew it, shouted the old man. She has hidden my $14,000 all this time and now wants to give it back. I will forgive her. Where is the money, Marion? Father, I have something to tell you. You never made any gold. I saved $35, bought some gold and slipped it into your crucible when your back was turned. I did it only because you were dying of disappointment. I know it was wrong, but I meant well. You'll forgive me, won't you? The alchemist turned pale and staggered as if he was going to fall. He recovered himself quickly, gave a sardonic laugh and said with the utmost irony, So, it's a conspiracy, is it? Well done, Doctor. You want to reconcile me with this wretched girl by inventing that story. It's clumsy, Doctor. I'm not that naive. But I assure you, Mr. Blakelock, I said earnestly, I believe your daughter is telling the truth. She has the ingot. Look in your crucible. No transformation has taken place. Doctor, said the old man, you are a fool. The girl has deceived you. In less than a minute I will have made a piece of pure gold. Will that convince you? It will, I replied. I motioned Marion to be silent. I thought it better to allow the old man to see for himself. He awaited the coming crisis. The old man, smiling with anticipated triumph, kept bending over his crucible eagerly, stirring the mixture with his rod and muttering, Now it is beginning to change. There's the scum. And now the green shades, oh, the beautiful green, the precursor of the golden red hue of the end result. And now the golden red hue appears, slowly. The colour deepens, it shines, it's dazzling. I have it. So saying, he picked up the crucible with his chemist's tongs and took it to the table on which he stood a brass recipient. Now, incredulous doctor, he cried, come here and be convinced. He began pouring the contents carefully into the brass recipient. When the crucible was empty, he called to me again. Come and be convinced, Doctor. See for yourself. First, see if there is any gold in your crucible, I said, without moving. He laughed, shaking his head derisively, and looked into the crucible. In a moment, he grew as pale as death. Nothing, he cried. This is a cruel joke. There must be gold somewhere. Marion. The gold is here, father, said Marion, taking the ingot from her pocket. This is all the gold we've ever had. The man screamed and let the crucible fall. He stretched out his trembling hand towards the ingot that Marion held out to him. He made 3 steps and then fell on his face. Marion ran towards him and tried to lift him but could not. I put her aside gently and placed my hand on the old man's throat. Marion, I said, it is perhaps better this way. He is dead. That's the end.